And we're on, just like that. Welcome to the very first episode of the AEVA NT podcast, your go-to show for all things electric vehicles in the Northern Territory and beyond. I'm Ricky Kay, and joining me today is Joe Chin, the Secretary of AEVA NT. For those who don't know, AEVA stands for Australia Electric Vehicle Association, and this region is the Northern Territory. So Joe's a passionate advocate for EVs and a driving force behind their adoption here in the Territory. Welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me there, Ricky.
Cool. Looking forward to our first ever podcast. Are you nervous?
Oh, a little bit, as usual, that you don't do enough of these, but you just get more hands-on and you get more and more comfortable with them.
A wee bit about us. As for me, I'm originally from Northern Ireland, spent the last 2 decades in beautiful Queenstown, New Zealand, and moved to Darwin about a year ago. It's actually through AEVA NT that we connected, and I became a member. My love for technology and the chance to cut fuel costs were big motivators. But you've been involved with EVs much longer, Joe. How did it all start for you?
Yeah, I've been involved in many years. Both like Hunter Murray and Richard Smith, who were passionate, was both in like AEVA and TOCA. Was the Australian Electric Vehicle Association, and also was the Tesla Owned Couple Australia. They both were been involved since 2018, and they were trying to start something up back then. And they initially reached out to me and say if I was happy to help in some way. So I was always keen to help out with the social media aspect of things and just try to help out. Because was what I was doing earlier was I was initially in the renewable energy sector selling solar power, so I knew a lot about how everything kind of flowed with how solar worked and how electric vehicles can make a position for both parties sort of thing. So it just makes it interesting in both ways.
In your experience, what's been the main driver why people go from ICE cars, internal combustion engines, to EVs?
So it's an interesting question there. I think a lot of people tend to want to initially when I hear from the people, they normally wanted to invest in electric vehicles so they can not go into the fuel station anymore, and they want to try to use what their solar is producing. And some were actually using their initial EV chargers and actually just charging on eco, which means they're charging on solar only.
Well, one of the great benefits from my membership with AEVA the last 12 months is you get to network with other like-minded people, especially if you're new to a city or a region. You get to meet with people who are passionate about EVs and sustainability, and I think that's been a huge plus, probably the biggest benefit for me personally.
Yeah, thank you there, Ricky. I appreciate you joining as well. I think it's always good to grow the numbers as well and trying to meet more people. I mean, the biggest thing is I know that it costs you $50 for a full membership. There's concessions, of course, and student prices as well. I think they're half the price. I think it's quite important to join part of an organization, because the thing is what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it better for everybody in the territory. Talk to places, talk to organizations like the NT government, talk to places like the AENT, the automotive organization in the Northern Territory, and just have some sort of relationship so that we're going forward, we can improve things for all of us.
So let's do a quick whip around the country. Let's find out what each state and territory is currently up to. And again, this is just our organic observation. Would love the official groups to contribute if they can. Just flick us an email or get in contact with Joe, the Secretary for the NT branch of AEVA. Let's begin with Western Australia. Home to one of the longest EV highways in the world, is leading the charge in connecting remote regions for EV drivers.
So Western Australia, they have their meetings every month, and they get together and they talk about what's happening around with Western Australia. They tend to as I said, have their own gear there to lend people. So it's a learner gear, or also have ability to have borrow equipment Western Australia wise. So I said to Ant Day, if somebody eventually wants to come up from Western Australia to Northern Territory and they end up being the Darwin and then they leave the vehicle up here and then end up flying away, go to overseas by Singapore or some other, or Bali, is to leave the gear here and we can send that cable back to them posted by Australia Post as such.
Next of all, in no particular order, beautiful South Australia, a renewable energy powerhouse is setting the standard with award-winning EV chargers like the one in Snowtown.
So with Snowtown, it is it won the 2024 EV Charger of the Year, which is great because the facility there are awesome. So they got a good rap, and we tend to still want to be part of like South Australia in terms of like still going and listening to their events, like their meetings, and when they have it once a month as such.
New South Wales pioneering the EV adoption with its innovative Come and Try Days, getting people behind the wheel of electric vehicles, which is something we can't do in other states or territories. So New South Wales is leading this right now.
With them, they tend to like do a lot of the EV meets and greets, and also try to do like Come and Try Day as such, was the NRMA as such. So that's where their car facilities, that's with the organizations that look after vehicles. They tend to like both AEVA and NRMA get together and do these EV Come and Try Days at some sort of speedway or some sort of like race motorway to like get people to get involved. And also they also recently visited people off the cusp, like talk about heat pumps, for example. So that's something good, because that's something where, like, it's not about electric vehicles. It's if you can talk about like solar power and talk about heat pumps and, maybe like electric cook stoves and that sort of stuff, you're sort of like still talking in the same realms of like electric vehicles, because you're saving power and using electricity in another way, which is great, which I think it's good to see what they did, even though you don't have to have every single month or every second month someone speaking about electric vehicles. You can talk about other sort of things as well.
Victoria is all about action, hosting countless EV events and festivals each year, making it a hub for EV enthusiasts.
Yes, Victoria branches, they're always busy. I mean, that's great. I mean, they're always doing festivals over there. They've done like 24 festivals in the last 11 months, and they've got another 5 to go before they finish for the year. So yeah, it's amazing. And when we talk about these festivals, they could be like renewable energy festivals, they could be solar festivals, they can be car festivals, all sorts of stuff. They just get involved with everything, which is great. It is what's great about volunteers is going out there and giving your time out if you can, and trying to like help out and promote electric vehicles as such. So they're busy was doing that on their hands as such. And they had earlier, this year, I think it was this year, they talked about like, was the road tax and everything. They got abolished that now, so everybody getting their money back in terms of like initially going to charge the road tax was the EVs per kilometre, every 2 cents, I think it was, roughly in my head. I'm not too sure what the details was, but they're now getting that money back and refunding through the Victorian government as such.
Tassie, beautiful Tasmania. Tassie's fully EV-ready network makes exploring the island's stunning landscapes both green and hassle-free, and that's what we want to hear.
Yeah, so Tasmania, that's just they recently had the national like AEVA branch meetings there. They had everybody got together, at the start of this month of November, and they actually did a thing for like a few days. Had a dinner there, had the whole like it's all about getting out there, getting people around Tasmania and also around Australia going there to see what the latest technology is as such. And they had like all different like AEVA members going down there as such, just getting to network everybody. And they had the big national conference as well, which I dialed into and listened to what's happening, which just pretty much gave me a bit information what's going on forward as well, kind of thing. And with Tasmania, they're just trying to get their Tasmanian network flowing out there, getting everybody like it's kind of like it's EV ready now. So anybody goes to Tasmania, they can just go there and hire an electric vehicle now, and anywhere you go around Tasmania, you'll be fine. There's no challenges there. They've really like AEVA's really helped out with the network over there, so it's great.
Queensland, their electric superhighway is a game changer, making it easier than ever to road trip sustainably in the Sunshine State.
Queensland, yes. With Queensland, they had like a change. I think John Day's no longer their chair anymore, so he's still part of the AEVA. Just now that they've decided to like go a different way with trying to run it, because it's all about volunteering. It takes a lot of work for people to like organize as such. But it's a good thing what I heard from Queensland is like when I heard from what one of the secretaries said that they tend to we try to push buttons when we talk to the Queensland government, and it's good. We always try to it gave me a good sense of what they're trying to do, because they said to me, we try to push the Queensland government to do what we can, as much as we can do, as much as we can push for the Queensland people, which is great, because it gave me an idea, like you guys are pushing the Queensland government, which gives me an idea, like maybe we should see what we could do with the NT government going forward, and in a nice way too. So they're just prodding and probing that situation. But now they've got a new government in, with the Liberal government over there. They've got to introduce themselves to the new ministry as such, administration over there. So it's kind of like getting to know everybody again, sort of thing. So it's kind of like us was getting to know our CLP government as such going forward.
Australian Capital Territory, ACT, setting the benchmark nationally, with EVs making up 50% of new car sales. Incredible. Proof of their forward-thinking policies.
That's right. With the Australian Territory capital, they've got policies in set. So they've got targets to meet, which is great, because they always talk about what we could do. They're actually one of the countries where now they're just flying with purchases going forward, and they're doing quite good. Was the ACT government as well, with the territory government. They have a good relationship with them. They always try to do the do your EVs, know your EVs as such. The workshops going forward, they're the ones that initially introduced that at first. Also bringing the RFID cards initially, so that if you have 15, 20 different brands out there, you can have one AEVA card, which is great because you're $5, and it allows you, plus postage, it allows you to go around Australia using different RFID cards with your AEVA card to different stations. So if you don't have to carry so many different apps in your phone and get lost with everything. It won't work on all fast chargers or all network systems, but they work majority of them. So it's a great initiative that ACT have done, which is great.
And very quickly, the NT, where this show is being broadcast from. The NT may be vast and remote, but its growing network of chargers and sunny weather make it a perfect place for EV innovation.
Whatever we reach out to the Darwin City Council or the Palmerston City Council in the top end region, we try to do as much as we can. In terms of Alice Springs or Catherine, we have our committee members there to discuss further with them. But I as a whole, I try to keep everything open, and someone asked me, is there charges available at the Darwin City Council at the in the city? I approached them. They said no, so that's why we don't plug share certain charges. But if charges are available to use, we will plug share them and put in bit of information about what we can, what you can't do, sort of thing. And you'll notice that if some charges are green, then they're free to use. If some charges are in brown on plug share, they're restricted. You have to make sure that for example, you go to the Palmerston City Council, the chambers there, you make sure they use them after 5:30, or you use them over the weekend. They're fine to use, just as long as you've got your own cable, which is fine.
If you're looking for a fast charge, if you're passing through Darwin, if you're here and you want to top up pretty quickly, and the two EV locations, one I think is in Zocoli, one is in Palmer. Actually, there's four, because they're growing all the time. But the two that I use mostly, the one in Zocoli. So if I'm heading south, I want to get a last minute top up before I leave the city. Zocoli's great. Plug in. Most of the time you're there for 15, 20 minutes. Go and grab something to eat. By the time you come back, boom, you almost have a full charge. The other one is the EV right in the city centre.
That's the one on Mitchell and Daly Street that are more likely on just the opposite Lizards there.
So that's it, just opposite Lizards. That's how I know it.
Yeah,
that's opposite Lizards.
Lizards Bar and Grill, or Lizards Bar and Restaurant, they're called. Yeah,
that's it. And they've also got the other locations. Where are they?
Yeah, North Lakes as well.
I have used the ones at North Lakes.
Yeah, that's the ones opposite the Red Rooster there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the one that's it has a Coles shopping complex there as well.
Right.
Which is great. So it's also vacant. It's always free to use. I've never seen it. I've seen it sometimes used with a BYD, and sometimes it's used by Tesla, but most of the time it's vacant as well.
This year has seen a leap forward for locations for NRMA in Adelaide River, in Catherine, a couple of great locations in Alice, but even those rural areas, they're different touch points. You can get from Darwin further down south in a much faster period of time. And it's growing. I think the only one you mentioned is one near, is it Daily Waters Pub? It's not actually a charger, but it's the Phase 3, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Phase 3 32 kilowatt three-phase amp. You can use the three-phase socket there. So
Yes.
it's got the the 5-pin plug in, and you can charge it with your Type 2 or Type 1 vehicle that you have a cable.
Yeah.
With AEVA, we have that Type 2 cable that people can borrow if they need to.
Yeah.
As such, as same as like what Perth does as well in WA. So yeah, we tend to like have that, so people can go to like places like, if they want to go to, I think it's the Aurora, Kakadu National Park. There's one there you need to use. Some, I think Tony's got one as well out there.
Yeah.
There's also like there's no locations in like Litchfield as such, but there is a caravan socket there. So we are looking initially to see if we can like eventually get people on 3-phase 30 amp sockets if available. Because a lot of these like camping places might have just 15 amps or just a normal general power point.
Yeah.
So we're just seeing what's there, and we initially like approached the Corbury Park Tavern and put in like a 32 amp 3-phase socket in there as such, and we donated that from AEVA. Yeah, we installed that in there just to see how it's all looking, because we put on PlugShare to see if we can get numbers and see who's using them, because the more you put on PlugShare, the better. That's why I said the other day when I was plugging the Kawinda Kakadu Lodge there, I was hoping that we haven't had a plug-in since a check-in, I should say, since 2019. So we want to get people to say what's going on with that location. Is it still like a caravan socket? Is it still 15 amps? We want people to say what has happened, what's going on, because I'm trying to get people to like check in to say what's happening, so we know what's going on. Because the last time I've been to Kawinda is probably a good 20 years ago, so it's not somewhere I'd go because I've been there, I visited the place, but I always want to go back up there one day to check out the Yellow Waters Billabong cruise as such. But at the moment, it's like we want people to check in. It doesn't matter where you are in the Northern Territory, anywhere in Australia, anywhere in the world. We want people to check in so we know that what's going on with that charger, and if it's currently working, or what do you think improvements-wise we should have going forward.
Fantastic advice. And for anybody new to EVs, remember resources like plugshare.com are your best friend. They make planning your journeys so much easier.
www.plugshare.com. That's the best one to go to. That's wherever I try to everybody to like look at, because the other day I saw a post where a lady was like in Western Australia. She only had like 6% left, and she went to a charger which is untethered, and she was trying to find a place to go. Can I borrow someone's cable? But I told her, like, commented on the socials and told her like, hey, why don't you just look at PlugShare, bring up your maps, go to your filters, and turn on all your residential spots and blue, and find out who's the closest person's living in that area, so you can get that person's house, see if they're available to charge. Because a good half an hour,
Yeah,
is good enough for you to go to the next charger.
absolutely. Maybe in the NT it's a wee bit different.
Yeah, it is a bit different, but you'll be surprised how many people are actually in Darwin and Palmerston. It's probably like about 6 at the moment. That's on residential. That's given. I'm one of them, and the 6 or 7 people is in Darwin and Palmerston, and there's also a few down in Alice Springs as well. So we want to see more residential, availability.
As of October 2024, the Northern Territory has approximately 1,000 registered electric vehicles and about 70 charging stations across the region.
I haven't seen the latest stats, but last time I saw the intergovernment, we actually saw the government just on the end of October. So we went and saw them, and they presented our stats to them. They said about 850 odd vehicles.
Okay, so it's within the vicinity of around 1,000.
Yeah.
That's quite strong for a population of 250,000, isn't it?
That's right, and that's only including the battery electric vehicles and the PHEVs as such. You can add in the hybrids, but because AEVA don't necessarily like to endorse any hybrid vehicles, there's still ICE vehicles with a small battery that's only like about 2 or 3 kilowatts of charge as such. I know that the AENT did recently announce those numbers as well, but the true numbers will probably be close to about 850 to 900 at the moment.
One final topic, whilst not strictly EV related, but it might interest a lot of EV drivers who bought solar power living in NT. Battery scheme bonus. the new CLP government has just recently introduced this. I think, was it yesterday? They did a media release.
They did a media release yesterday, yesterday morning.
So the battery scheme bonus hits 12,000, and that's up from, that's like over 100% increase, because it was like 5,000.
It was 5,000. It was 6,000 initially, and then went back to 5,000. Was the Labor government, and they brought it back to double the incentive there. So
that's good news for those who are involved or who it affects with solar power living. But does that not get the NT into more debt?
that would just encourage people to like. I think because the government are like I know they're shaving money in other areas as well going forward, and they just scrap a lot of other stuff. They tend to like if they're shaving money from other sort of like schemes that they're doing. That this one initially will try to like get people involved, because with the territory you have to understand that this is a transit city. So with being in the Northern Territory, you've got a lot of like homeowners that might have a lot of rentals for their homes. So you might have difficulties trying to find like a lot of the times landlords don't want to buy solar for their tenants as such. So you probably a small number of people. So I think at this stage, with the number of people that are interested in buying solar power, there'll be some people be interested in getting the battery and helping them out going forward. It is a little bit of a good incentive as such, but doesn't really do enough as such going forward. Like it's just allows you to like maybe purchase more batteries if you've got the money to purchase the battery, and also allows you to feed back into the grid between 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. at a close to 19 cents feed-in tariff. But a lot of the times, with the territory, a lot of people tend to like do a lot of cooking at that time between 6 and 7, and they might end up like spending like more money with electricity at that time. So why would you want to feed back between 6 to 9? You want to get that back to your household appliances that you've got turned on.
So every state and territory in Australia has its own AEVA branch, and up until about 6 months ago, the Northern Territory didn't. But Joseph, thanks to you and the amazing committee, we now have an AEVA branch here in the NT.
Yeah, that's correct there, Ricky. We finally got our hands on having AEVA branch. It's been in the making since 2018, which is great, and we've got good numbers now. We're heading towards 30, and at this stage, we're trying to grow it even more. So what we're trying to achieve now is every branch of territory have done a launch as such. The last launch was done in 2015 over in Hobart with the Tasmania branch. They had like they hired out a state cinema out there locally, and they invited 120 guests as such, and just like invited the media, and also invited the councils and also the governments as such. So we want to do something similar, just to let people know that AEVA Northern Territory Electric Vehicle Association of the Northern Territory is now assembled. We have members now in Darwin, Katherine, Tennant Creek, and Alice Springs. We're members across the territory. We want to grow it so we can get more members involved, and we also want to let like the Northern Territory government, the ANT, other branches out there who's part of the automotive industry, to know that we exist now, and we want to like help electric vehicle drivers going forward.
So the launch is happening early next year?
So the launch is happening early next year. We're looking at February, March. We're still trying to find a location as such. We're trying to see if we can like find what particularly like a little like place where it can fit about 120 people in, maybe about between 50 to 100. That'd be great, roughly the numbers wise, so that we can have a place where we can like network as such, and like have us like talking about what AEVA does, and introduce like like having the NT government and ANT also chatting about electric vehicles in Northern Territory, and then having some nibblies and also having some drinks there, so we can all get together, chat about that one subject and see what we can. And we had started with 6 committee members, and now we have 8 committee members. It's quite large, having around about 30 members. Was 8 committee members at this stage, but every committee member is doing great. We're trying to like help out and do things going forward. And if you've got any questions, anything you wanted to concerns about the community as such, we're happy to like get involved and see what we can do as such.
So stay tuned for an official date and a venue and details on the big launch party. Yeah?
We'll do, definitely. Thanks very much there, Ricky.
Thanks for being part of our first ever podcast. That's it for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the EVNT podcast. Until next time, stay charged and keep driving electric.